Lin Yutang was a Chinese writer, translator, linguist and inventor. His informal but polished style in both Chinese and English made him one of the most influential writers of his generation, and his compilations and translations of classic Chinese texts into English were bestsellers in the West. Youth: Lin was born in the town of Banzai, Pingyi, Zhongzhou, Fujian. This mountainous region made a deep impression on his consciousness, and thereafter he would constantly consider himself a child of the mountains. His father was a Christian minister. His journey of faith from Christianity to Taoism and Buddhism, and back to Christianity in his later life was recorded in his book From Pagan to Christian. Academic career and Shanghai intellectual world: Lin studied for his bachelor's degree at St. John's University in Shanghai, then received a half scholarship to continue study for a doctoral degree at Harvard University. He later wrote that in the Widener Library he first found himself and first came alive, but he never saw a Harvard-Yale game. He left Harvard early however, moving to work with the Chinese Labor Corps in France and eventually to Germany, where he completed his requirements for a doctoral degree in Chinese philology at the University of Leipzig. From 1923 to 1926 he taught English literature at Peking University. Enthusiastic about the success of the Northern Expedition, he briefly served in the new nationalist government, but soon turned to teaching and writing. He found himself in the wake of the New Culture movement which criticized China's tradition as feudal and harmful. Instead of accepting this charge, however, Lin immersed himself in the Confucian texts and literary culture which his Christian upbringing and English language education had denied him. His magazine Lun Yu attracted essays and readership, and Lin maintained friendship and debate with Hu Xi, Lu Xun, key figures in the Shanghai literary scene of the 1930s. He was a key figure in introducing the Western concept of humor, which he felt China had lacked. In 1933, however, Lu Xun attacked the journal Analects for being apolitical and dismissed Lin's elegant xiepin when a degree, or small essay as bric-a-brac for the bourgeoisie. Lin's writings in Chinese were critical of the nationalist government, to the point that he feared for his life. Many of his essays from this time were later collected and with love and irony. In 1933, he met Pearl Buck in Shanghai, and she introduced him and his writings to her publisher, Richard Walsh, head of John Day Publishers, who published Lin's works for many years. Lin's relation with Christianity changed over the years. His father, of course, was a second-generation Christian, but at Tsinghua, Lin asked himself what it meant to be a Christian in China. Being a Christian meant acceptance of Western science and progress, but Lin became angry that being a Christian also meant losing touch with China's culture and his own personal identity. On his return from study abroad, Lin renewed his respect for his father, yet he plunged into study of Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, and did not identify himself as Christian. Career after leaving China. After 1935 Lin lived mainly in the United States, where he became known as a wise and witty popularizer of Chinese philosophy and way of life. Lin's first bestsellers were My Country and My People and The Importance of Living, written in English in a charming style. Others include Between Tears and Laughter, The Importance of Understanding, The Chinese Theory of Art. The novels Moment in Peking, A Leaf in the Storm, and The Vermilion Gate were well-received epics of China in turmoil, while Chinatown Family presented the lives of Chinese Americans in New York. Partly to avoid controversial contemporary issues, Lin in 1947 published The Gay Genius, The Life and Times of Su Tongpo, which presented the struggle between Su Dongpo and Wang Anqi as parallel to the struggle between Chinese liberals and totalitarian communists. Lin's political writings in English sold fewer copies than his cultural works and were more controversial. Between Tears and Laughter broke with the genial tone of his earlier English writings to criticize Western racism and imperialism. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, Lin traveled in China and wrote favorably of the war effort and Chiang Kai-shek in Vigil of a Nation. American China hands such as Edgar Snow criticized these works. Mechanics had been a long-time avocation. Since Chinese is a character-based rather than an alphabet-based language, with many thousands of separate characters, it was difficult to employ modern printing technologies. Many doubted that a Chinese typewriter could be invented. Lin, however, worked on this problem for decades and eventually came up with a workable typewriter which was brought to market in the middle of the war with Japan. The Minghui clear and quick Chinese language typewriter played a pivotal role in the Cold War machine translation research. Lin also invented and patented several lesser inventions, such as a toothbrush which dispensed toothpaste. In the mid-1950s, he served briefly and unhappily as president of the Nanyang University, which was newly created in Singapore specifically for Chinese studies as parallel to the English-oriented University of Singapore. He did not, however, choose to continue in that role when the faculty resisted his plans to demolish and rebuild the new school building, his demands to have sole control over finances and a budget which was clearly beyond its means. Lin accepted a dismissal fee of $305,203, entirely contributed by Tan Lark Sai to prevent depleting the university's funds. He would later claim that Nanyang University became a focus of the struggle for control of Singapore between the communist-directed left and the liberal, social democratic right, and that he was too old for the conflict. The episode left a bad taste in the Malay and Chinese community, who felt betrayed by his actions during and after the fiasco. After he returned to New York in the late 1950s, Lin renewed his interest in Christianity. His wife was a devout believer, and Lin admired her serenity and humility. After attending services with her at the Madison Avenue Presbyterian Church for several months, he joined the church and announced his return to the faith. His 1959 book From Pagan to Christian explained this move, which many of his readers found surprising. With his facility for both Chinese and English idiom, Lin presided over the compilation of a Chinese-English dictionary, Lin Yutang's Chinese-English Dictionary of Modern Usage, which contains a massive English index to definitions of Chinese terms. The work was undertaken at the newly founded Chinese University of Hong Kong. His many works represent an attempt to bridge the cultural gap between the East and the West. He was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1940 and 1950. Dr. Lin was buried at his home in Yangmingshan, Taipei, Taiwan. His home has been turned into a museum, which is operated by Taipei-based Tsukuo University. The town of Lin's birth, Banzai, has also preserved the original Lin home and turned it into a museum. Lin's reputation and scholarship on Lin, although his major books have remained in print, Lin is a thinker whose place in modern Chinese intellectual history has been overlooked until recently. Lin-themed conventions have been organized in Taiwan and Lin's native Fujian, and in December 2011, the International Conference on the Cross-Cultural Legacy of Lin Yutang in China and America was held at City University of Hong Kong, with professional and private scholars from mainland China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan, Malaysia, the United States, Germany and Slovakia. The organizer of the conference was Dr. Qian Suoqiu, author of the book, Liberal Cosmopolitan, Lin Yutang and Middling Chinese Modernity. The first full-length academic study of Lin in English is Diran John Sohigian's The Life and Times of Lin Yutang. Jingxiu's Sound and Script in Chinese Diaspora gives a detailed account of Lin Yutang's typewriter and its role in the context of late 19th century script reform, Chinese national language reform in the early 20th century, and the fascinating story of his typewriting keyboard and machine translation research during the Cold War. Family. His wife, Liao Feng, was an author, who, along with her daughter Lin Xingju, wrote 3 cookery books which popularized Chinese cuisine in the English-speaking world. Dr. Lin wrote introductions which explained the historical background and relevance for American life. His first daughter Lin Fengju was an author who also used the pseudonym Tan Yun. His second daughter Lin Tai was also known as Anolin in her earliest writing, and had the Chinese name Yu Jusi Permele. She was an author and a general editor of Chinese Reader's Digest from 1965 until her retirement in 1988. She also wrote a biography of her father in Chinese, which shows some signs of her father's literary flair. His third daughter Lin Xingju, was referred to as Maimu in childhood. She was co-author of cookbooks with her mother, and was a biochemist at Queen Mary Hospital in Hong Kong. The daughters all had names containing the character A added E cubed A, Anossi Permil A, and Janju Ca. Works in Chinese or published in China to 1935, courtesy Lin Yutang House, 3, 1928, Jean Fu Collection, 1930, Letters of a Chinese Amazon and Wartime Essays, Shanghai, Kaiming, 1930, Kaiming English Books, 1930, English Literature Reader, 1930, Kaiming English Grammar, 1931, Reading and Modern Journalistic Prose, 1933, A Collection of Essays on Linguistics, 1934, Da Huangji, 1934, My Words First Volume, 1935, Kaiming English Materials co-written by Lin Yutang and Lin Yuho, 1935, The Little Critic. Essays, Satires and Sketches on China First Series, 1930 to 1932, 1935, The Little Critic, Essays, Satires and Sketches on China Second Series, 1933 to 1935, 1935, Confucius Saw Nancy and Essays About Nothing, 1936, My Words Second Volume. Works in English, 1935, My Country and My People, Reynolds and Hitchcock, Incorporated, 1936, A History of the Press and Public Opinion in China, Kelly and Walsh, 1937, The Importance of Living, Reynolds and Hitchcock, Incorporated, 1938, The Wisdom of Confucius, Random House, The Modern Library, 1939, Moment in Peking, The John Day Book Company, 1940, With Love and Irony, A John Day Book Company, 1941, A Leaf in the Storm, A John Day Book Company, 1942, The Wisdom of China and India, Random House. 1943, Between Tears and Laughter, A John Day Book Company, 1944, The Vigil of a Nation, A John Day Book Company, 1945, Between Tears and Laughter, written during World War II, as a bitter plea for the West to change its perspective of the world order. Published in London by Dorothy Crisp and Company Limited, 1947, The Gay Genius, The Life and Times of Su Tungpo, A John Day Book Company, 1948, Chinatown Family, A John Day Book Company, 1948, The Wisdom of Laots, Random House, 1950, On the Wisdom of America, A John Day Book Company, 1951, Widow, Nun and Courtesan, 3 novelettes from the Chinese translated and adapted by Lin Yutang, A John Day Book Company, 1952, Famous Chinese Short Stories, retold by Lin Yutang, The John Day Book Company, reprinted. 1952, Washington Square Press, 1953, The Vermilion Gate, A John Day Book Company, 1955, Looking Beyond, Prentice Hall, 1957, Lady Wu, World Publishing Company, 1958, The Secret Name, Farah, Straus and Cudahy, 1959, The Chinese Way of Life, World Publishing Company, 1959, From Pagan to Christian, World Publishing Company, 1960, Imperial Peking, 7 Centuries of China, Crown Publishers, 1960, The Importance of Understanding, World Publishing Company, 1961, The Red Peony, World Publishing Company, 1962, The Pleasure of a Nonconformist, World Publishing Company, 1963, Junipalo, World Publishing Company, 1964, The Flight of Innocence, G. P. Putnam's Sons, 1973, Chinese English Dictionary of Modern Usage, Hong Kong Chinese University. See also Goyo Romatsu. References. Further reading, Deeran John Sohijian, The Life and Times of Lin Yutang. Columbia University Ph.D. Dissertation, 1991. Jingtsu, Lin Yutang's Typewriter, in Sound and Script in Chinese Diaspora. Harvard University Press, 2010, pages 49-79. ISBN 978-0674055407, Swokia Kian. Liberal Cosmopolitan, Lin Yutang and Middling Chinese Modernity. Leiden, Brill, Ideas and History Series, 2011. 271p. ISBN 978-90-04-19213-3. Jianming He, a Euro-OE dialogue between Christianity and Taoism, a Euro and Ruokenan, Miaika, and Paulos Sansu Huang, eds. Christianity and Chinese Culture, pages 138 to Euro 143. Liu, Shi. Straddling East and West, Lin Yutang, A Modern Literatus, the Lin Yutang Family Collection of Chinese Painting and Calligraphy. New York, The Metropolitan Museum of Art. ISBN 9781588392701. Rain-Yang Liu, A Euro-OE Lin Yutang, Astride the Cultures of East and West, A Euro and Carol Hamron and Stacy Beeler, eds. Salt and Light, More Lives of Faith That Shaped Modern China, 158-175. External links, works by or about Lin Yutang at Internet Archive, list of Lin Yutang's publications, Lin Yutang Biography and Photograph Collection, Lin Yutang's Chinese-English Dictionary of Modern Usage, patent for Lin Yutang's Chinese typewriter, Lin Yutang's House, History of a Scribal Machine, The Harvard Gazette.